3 hours and the payoff was, I don't know whether the guy got the gal. It's up for your own interpretation.
It is, isn't it?
I was so frustrated at the end of it, man. I was like, for 3 hours, where's the payoff?
Yep.
There's no payoff. So,
Yep. Well, Coach, all those that are joining us live, we are the Parent Portal Show. It's a beautiful day outside, and we have more to talk about than there are weeds out in my front yard, although there's not that many weeds out right now. But no, it's going to be a great day. I am so looking forward to it. And you have sent a lot of great articles for us to cover, and I certainly have a couple of things that I think we're going to get to today. How are you?
I can't complain. It's been a busy week for us here in beautiful Cedar Park, Texas, and
Right.
got a little bit of rain, which is well appreciated. And we got a
Well
big
needed.
weekend here in our family. We're playing in a 7-on-7 tournament, our first one of the year, and we're playing in Jerry World.
Oh my
Pretty
gosh, how
big,
fun.
pretty big moment. I mean, we went from nowhere to somewhere in less than a year, and it's pretty exciting. So the kids are they're pretty jumped up. They're jumping up and down to go play at an iconic venue and have that
Yeah.
opportunity to live some of their dreams.
There is nothing like it. I had the fortune of playing in Texas Stadium among a couple of other neat stadiums. And I will tell you, it's just, you're awestruck a little bit, but it's a playing field and it works. So hopefully you guys will have a great day. When are y'all leaving to go play, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, well, we're scheduled to play on Sunday afternoon. So,
Okay.
I mean, just like the big guys, and so we have invitation to compete at the um, Army All-American Bowl Combine on Saturday
Oh, wow.
at Frisco at the Star, and so we're trying to see if we can balance it because the combine does all the what I call the compulsories, the 40-yard dash,
Sure.
the ladder, the jumps and everything else. And that's over a 2-day period. And so we're trying to see if we can shoehorn that in at the same moment as doing the sevens tournament, which we committed to first. So
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
pretty big thing. A couple of our players are actually playing in the middle school Army All-American Bowl on Monday. So that's pretty cool. So we're three of our own are going to be representing the sevens team in Cedar Valley here in beautiful Cedar Park.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Well, we have kind of a fun thing coming up. We're headed up to Twitty, Texas this weekend, and we're going to spend some time up there. And, I don't really hunt anymore, but I love spending time in the deer blind and in the hunting lodge and taking a group of boys and some neighbors. And we're going to have a lot of time on the range, and we're taking some fun rifles and weapons along for the boys. Just have some target practice, that kind of stuff. I've always been a big believer in boys or kids, and boys or girls, getting smart about how to use weapons should the need ever occur. And so we'll shotguns to shoot at clay pigeons and all sorts of armory there for all of us to kind of enjoy.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a good few days. We're looking forward to it, and certainly it's raining up there a lot though. I will tell you, I've looked at the weather this morning. The friend of mine who owns the place sent me a note and said, "Hey, it's real wet up here, so people bring your dirty old boots because you're going to need them." So, but we're all good. We're all ready to go, and it's today's the last day of school at Round Rock High School, and boys are finishing up midterms, and it's been a tough week of making sure that everyone gets those crossing those T's and dotting those I's in time for the test.
Yeah, it's important. And, we've talked about this as part of our show in the past, how important it is that, you eliminate the distractions sometimes in your life. And school is not a distraction. It is the action you should be doing, not a distraction. It's an action because without it, you can't get on the field to play. I mean,
Yeah.
it's those days when players and athletes could kind of slide by having a maybe a coach teach them or something. Those are in the past. Colleges are looking for not just an athlete that's fast, but they're looking for that smart athlete as well.
Yeah, and it's the Big Ten, right? So it's the main attraction, and that is at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We lose sight of it. We start talking about all the side tents and side distractions that go on, but at the end of the day, getting the kid in and out of college is so important nowadays.
It is,
And
and it to not to interrupt. We had a
no, go ahead.
good friend that was an NFL athlete that lived nearby, and talking to him a couple times is what is the biggest thing that you would kind of tell an aspiring young athlete? And it's like, get your education.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, you got to do it. And he's like, you got to have good grades now to be able to play, because one bad grade in one class could take you out. And
yeah.
when you're a young man, young woman, and you're 13 and 14 and 15, you got every distraction known to mankind happening to you. Uh, that that one test doesn't seem like it's important sometimes, and that's the test that takes you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we had an injury this week, unfortunately, so we kind of got pulled out of some of the off-season program. Jason had to step out and not be as involved. But it goes back to just some of the same basics that we've been talking about. Watch your health. A lot of sick kids recently. Been around a few kids where they just got to take care of themselves and make sure during the time of stress, during this when this cold, hot weather fluctuation goes on, you got to just take care of yourself. Make sure you get out there and go see the doctor if you need to. That's important. Well, Coach, let's jump into it a little bit. Boy, I'll tell you, I love the very first article that I pulled up this morning that you had shared with me, and that was the lawsuit one. We even have an update from the Tuesday article that you sent from Yahoo Sports. The lawsuit aims to eliminate all NCAA transfer restrictions, while some are pushing for a stricter policy. Well, guess what? It got at 10 a.m. yesterday, it got lifted. So those portal restrictions are now not in play. And it's going to be interesting because this is where things are going to get hot and heavy.
It really is. And I mean, we NIL is just in so many ways just part of the changing world of college athletics. It is just one component. And this portal transfer, that is now the new guideline, the new rule,
Yeah,
if you will, is it has the potential to change everything. I mean, a couple of things we'll probably talk about today is an athlete that has been at one school can now go to another school, and oh, by the way, 2 years later, maybe the next year, go back to another school, maybe go back to the school that they started with. It's like a prime example of that is like Malik Murphy.
yep,
He's been here at Texas, put his name in the portal,
yep,
and he's word is that he's looking to go back to the West Coast, and that's where he's originally from. And but it's like he can do whatever he wants to do right now, and that's
yep,
a very different world than 4 years ago.
yep,
It just didn't happen like that. And um, it's like what we always say, you have to educate your stuff. Most people won't even know this is something until they look at their team next year in football and say, "Wait a minute, this isn't what happened to this player, or why is this new player here?" And it's because all of this is happening, and it's just going to change the face of, I think, amateur sport, college sport, if you will, and how it's played, because the very best players will be the ones that are out on the field. It may not be wearing the same same uniform, but they'll be out on the field somewhere.
Well, we're talking about parity, right? So it gives a chance for some of the kids who aren't. We're talking about parity with the universities, but we're also talking about the kids who aren't getting the play time having a chance to go somewhere where they can play. And that's always been a big issue. Alabama building up all the Power Five teams. Building up these huge benches with kids two, three, four positions deep. Now all of a sudden, rather than sitting on the bench all the way until the end of your college years, these kids have a chance. If there's ever a kid, and the interview with him was amazingly awesome. It broke his heart to not be able to play with the CFP, and he wanted to go play against Washington. Absolutely wanted to be a part of that, but because of the transfer restrictions and the timing, more so than anything else, because of the timing, he had to get in it now. He absolutely couldn't risk not getting any kind of attention. Now he's going to get attention. He's already played really well. He's had 2 games he started in, had some great stats. He's probably one of the highest commodity kids going into the portal. And good luck to him. I hope he does well. I hope he goes to a great team, and he has every bit to expect that. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I am so excited that he's out there. I just wish the timing was a little bit different and gave the kids a little more time to find out what offers they were going to get, find out where they had a chance to play. And that way, if it didn't work out, he'd be right back here at UT, no problems. But anyway, it's just the scenario that we're in.
Yeah, I think that as everything in this bizarro world of like college sports is it's ever evolving, and I think to your point, like you got guys that are entering into the portal this week, right? And you have signing day next week, and you would hope that most universities, especially the Power Fives, they already have a good idea who's going to sign, who's not, but that portal side of things could throw something totally off. I mean, one of the at school that I follow is out of uh, Waco, Texas, and they had a 4-star um, cornerback sign with Texas yesterday.
Yes.
And if you look at that, and he's a good player, but you also look at what Texas is kind of doing in the portal. They're reaching out to, several of the big Power Five conference or Power Five teams or Power Four. Sorry, old habit there. Power
Yeah, I
Four
said
team.
Power Five too, didn't
Yeah, yeah,
I?
yeah. They're reaching out to several of those Power Four teams that have established 3-year veterans and saying, "Hey, you come here, uh,
Yeah,
you'll start, and you're going to be competing for championships." Well,
yeah,
I would say that this freshman is in the same category as that person that they're looking for, and because of the timing of this, you may get one, but not the other one, or you may lose them both.
yeah,
Because it's like, well, they're gonna go get the 5-star that played at Florida to come play at Texas, and he's got 2 years left, as opposed to a freshman that just declared and signed, next week, and it's like, but you only have 1 spot. If you're
yeah,
a coach, you're out there trying to figure out, "Hey, how do I get this 1 spot?" And you could get them both, you could get 1, you could get none. And
yeah,
I think that's gonna be more of the norm than it is the abnormal in this. It's a different way of building your teams if you're a coach for sure. You just
yeah,
have to recruit your own team.
yeah. Absolutely. And but yet it's good for some of these kids to go on. I don't think Sark holds it against them if they're not getting the playing time that they want. I don't think I don't think any good college football coach would begrudge any athlete who says, "Coach, I'm just not getting. It's not living up to my expectation. I'm going into the portal." And yeah,
No,
it
I
may hurt a couple of times, but you gotta be sensible here.
well, you recruited these athletes, whether they were transfers or whether they were out of high school. You recruited them with the idea that they were important enough to be included in your family, to be a part of your team. And if you are doing that correctly, you want the best for any of your kids.
Yeah.
If you see that coach or that program that, it's like a good riddance, whatever, sorry we didn't get you, but good luck, kind of moment.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, you have to stop then and look at the culture. Are you just picking somebody for numbers? Are you just picking someone because they fit the classification or the position? Whatever it is, it should be that you care about the player,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, that's the person that you're going to be asking to go out and bust their tail for you.
Yeah. Yeah, something that NCAA keeps kind of forgetting a little bit. Hey,
Yeah, they keep
finishing
forgetting
up,
that.
right, right. Well, finishing up on this note about this transfer portal restriction being stayed at the moment by the courts. And again, it's the courts doing it. It's just crazy how much the courts are going to have to get involved. But I will say one of the most interesting comments, and I'm going to read it verbatim as a quote, is that the lawsuit, okay, so quote, the lawsuit is another example of a recent trend. Member schools aggressively pushing back on the very same rules that they helped create. That to me is eye opening because it is the floodgates coming open. And this is where Charlie Baker has a lot of problems on his hands. If those member organizations are coming back and saying, you know what, this is a good thing. We've got to change the system. NCAA has not figured it out. So guess what? We're going to go to the courts of all places. We're going to go to the courts because they're getting things done. No one else is, but the courts will get us further down the road on this.
Great words. I mean, it's the truth. Change is hard, whether it's change for the good or sometimes change for the bad. Change is hard. People like that structure of being able to rely upon, what they know, not what they don't know. And, in this, there's a lot of unknowns, and you try to make great decisions based on experience. And there's not a lot you can kind of point to in this craziness that we're doing. But as we've always said, it should be about the athletes and what's best for the athletes. And but there's that dirty secret we keep talking about, that money that keeps bubbling to the top. That's what's kind of pushing this, because you can turn on TV this weekend and you'll see Division II playoff working just fine. You know what? And those athletes are getting an education. They're playing in a playoff, and it doesn't seem to have the same energy as Division I, and I wonder why.
Yeah,
It's, you know, it's
yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's bring up and talk for a moment that NCAA proposal that Charlie Baker brought up about playing this, paying the student athletes.
Yeah, he's pushed a little, excuse me, it's easy to say it. NCAA President Charlie Baker is pushing a plan to spread the wealth among college athletes. Now, this is from Sports Illustrated, pretty pretty big, well-known magazine or online presence in our world. And one of the things that is just, you said it earlier, is that Charlie Baker's there's a lot on his plate right now. He's juggling and he's chewing gum and he's patting his head at the same time. He's having to do a lot of different things to be able to get something in place, because Congress isn't going to do anything for him. The lawsuits are starting to come before the courts. The rulings aren't going in his favor, and people are saying, "Well, why is the NCAA relevant in this matter?" And the honesty is they're not. All these different things that are kind of happening are what's managing or governing the sport. The lawsuits are setting rules. It's not the NCAA. The portal is changing. That is something that will continue to change how athletes move back and forth. These aren't NCAA guidelines anymore. These are things that Charlie is having to look at and say, well, we didn't have that much to do with it. And then people who are part of these, part of the NCAA are going, well, why are we a part of you? So
Yeah.
to that end, the NCAA is finally come out and pushed a pretty aggressive plan to be able to talk about setting a tiered system and talking about being able to have a base wage for student athletes. Now they don't want to call it they don't want to call it, their employees.
No.
They can't do that. So I mean, he's really in a tough spot in trying to thread the needle of being relevant and you know being in a
Getting something
place
done.
where, yeah, getting something done because they haven't done it for so long. Now they're nobody believes it's like crying wolf, nobody's believing them anymore.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we talked about this a little bit last week. I don't believe it. I don't believe him. I don't. I they the NCAA and Charlie Baker as that voice of the NCAA is so tone deaf, and it just stinks of hypocrisy as this guy is driving all around the country, still doing his college tour and meeting with athletes and student athletes. This guy is just a politician to the nth degree, and his way of approaching things is just ridiculous. He is so um, removed from what the athletes want and what they need, and his focus is on the wrong thing. And he claims he's for the and he talks about how great it is to have this conversation with the kids, and it just is absolutely insane. um, he talks about, so he's doing all these tours and meeting with all these soccer teams and girls programs and volleyball championship game teams and all that. And he ends with the idea of this, hey, this is a wonderful perk that comes with the job, and watching the kids play is great, and getting a chance to talk to them is the best thing in the world. And the more he spends time with student athletes, the better he feels about the state of the country. Okay, well, and then he says, this is just a killer statement. I'm going to quote it. As a guy who came out of government and politics, you can get pretty depressed. As a, I can't believe he said that. I just can't believe he's even putting that out there. And oh, by the way, dude, get your resume out because the clock is ticking. The NCAA is not going to exist in a year if something doesn't change because member states are going to move away. Now, let me change that. I think the NCAA will still be around. It will become a organization that handles paperwork is what it's going to become because they're not going to be involved in the politics day to day of those organizations. He's doing a horrible job with it, and they're not going to be able to control and serve the members that are in the organization. That's my opinion.
No, there's a lot of good stuff in that, and he's talking about wanting to bring this payment to athletes again, money to athletes in the university system. Well, if you do that, you're taking away the collectives, and that's part of his problem, right? Is the collectives have come out and he has no juice with them, and that money is money that he is not able to put his hands on, and it's again, it's that dirty secret, that money is kind of pushing this. Well, if he could get rid of the collectives and put it up under the university system, one of the things that he would be able to do is potentially be able to get some guardrails on it, right? Because then the universities would all fall, in theory, fall in line to be able to, say, hey, we need a two-tiered system of, these power conferences would have these elite teams that would be playing in this conference, and everybody else would continue to play. Well, we already do that. Sorry, Charlie, we already kind of do that. It's called Division One and Division Two,
Yeah.
and it's and Division Three. There. I mean, we've already have that tiered system. So this tiered system is all about money, and
Yeah.
the I said thread the needle a little bit earlier. The hard part that he has with this is he's got to get rid of the collectives. He's got to get the universities on board, but he desperately doesn't want them to be employees because he doesn't want them to form a union. And
Yeah.
by forming that union, again, this is my outsider looking in kind of face, that he doesn't want them to form a union because then they start controlling the narrative, which they already are. I mean, at the end of the day, the athletes don't realize how much power they have yet. It's kind of like they're not self-aware enough to know. But once they do, and like the NFL players union, there'll be a college football players union or something called that, in the future if they are employees because uh they'll I mean, you saw it in baseball. We'll go on strike. We're just not going to play.
Yeah.
You've seen it in football. It's been a while, but they did go on strike.
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden all the control that the NCAA had, if they make them employees and they become a union, they lose. They
They
totally
start to
lose.
be collectively organized in a way that gives them some power. And oh,
That's
by the
it.
way, it benefits them. It benefits the kids, Charlie. That's the reason why we're going that way. And that's why the courts are going that way. And Charlie has a lot to lose here, and he's on the wrong side of the equation. No doubt.
So then I'll leave this with this. One of his quotes that he said here is, "I think what makes college sports great, especially at the D1 level, duh, I wonder why, is that weird things happen." Really? Weird things happen all the time. It's not exclusive to D1. And he's trying to paint this, like this is, some kind of unicorn, and it's not. It's really about the money. Don't get confused. It's about the money. And for everything that they're doing, I don't my predictions is that it'll be settled in the courts. The NCAA will find a way to get enough colleges on board to set some guardrails, but they will not be able to stop the collectives, as well as they won't be able to stop the athletes from becoming employees. And that that's my 2-year thought on what this looks like. And none of this will happen in Congress until after the election in 2024 and possibly, 2025. So
There you go.
there you go.
All right, Coach, we're going to take a live keep going here, but we'll take a moment and kind of catch our thoughts and get going with our next 2 or 3 topics. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Get a sip of coffee. Hey, you didn't say anything about my beautiful shirt.
Man, I was going to say that Dolly Parton must have made that for you. She had that coat of many colors. That's the shirt of many colors right there.
It is. I'm very proud of this shirt. It was given to me from one of our baseball moms on our baseball team, and I wear it today with the recognition that it is very flamboyant and Christmassy.
Yeah, again, it's the shirt of many colors that Mama made for me. Thank you, Dolly.
There you go. All right. All right, Coach. So just kind of looking ahead here, I've got this one fund partners with WME Sports for major NIL contributions. I've got that on our list. I've got the Troy. So I guess we'd start with that, then jump into Troy Taylor. who views Stanford as a college football outlier despite transfer portal culture. Now, what is that all about? Who's Troy Taylor?
Give me a moment. I'll have to. I'm actually
Okay.
reviewing some of these. As I
I'll
read a
let you
lot.
look it over.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if we'll do a third NCAA. I don't know if that's worth. Let me look at it a little bit and see. I'll look at this third or second Baker article and that's from Sportico and see if that's too redundant or if we should go ahead and include that in our discussion. Hmm. Well, Coach, what I'm seeing from the Sportico, I think it's actually a pretty good article that we could jump in probably first because it does invoke Baker's name, although the issues are really kind of bigger than Baker. But I'm happy to lead with it if you want
Why
me
don't you
to.
lead with that? I'll take
Okay.
the Troy Taylor and the WME
The
with
Texas One
Texas.
Fund. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started.
So just this is administrative stuff for just a
Go
second.
ahead.
Are you okay with that?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So during that, I had a red box pop up and it indicated that it wasn't saving, and I don't know why it was saying that. But when I normally look on my U and where it says people and you and one other, it
Yeah.
usually has a running clock, and mine is stuck at 1 minute 15 seconds, and it has been the whole time.
Okay. Let me see if
So I
there's
don't
anything
know
else.
if the way that we're recording it is logged somewhere else, but I just wanted to throw that out there so you can see.
Well, I'll tell you what. So it says 99% uploading, continuously uploading your high quality recording to Riverside. So
I don't have that.
Okay. So here's my question: if it is saving, is it considered to be, and we're streaming? is it saving on Riverside or saving if every time that we've live streamed, have you gotten that message or not?
That's the first time I've ever got that message.
Okay. Well, I tell you what I can do. I can stop it and we can start it again and just see where we are. How does that sound?
Is there a way you can? I'm gonna look and see if I can look on.
I'm on studio. We're live
right now.
So in YouTube Studio, we're live. I can see us there.
Okay.
We've had one person jump in and jump off. It's all good.
Okay. So is this dead space that we're working with?
So the question, I think what you're asking me is, hey, since we're streaming it, is it recording it? Right?
We're live right now. I'm looking at us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's what I'm asking.
I think we're okay. Well, I'd hate to lose it all, though. That's the one thing is I do need content for this week. The only thing I can do is jump off or reset because this is a break anyway. I can reset, make it in the recording. It'll start preparing it, and then we just start a new segment, and we can live stream it, or we can just let it be the recording that's out there.
So when you live stream from your side, I'm presuming that it's recording in Riverside so that you can pull that content for later.
So that's correct? A great question. I mean, this is only the third time we've done a live stream, right? So just to kind of make you aware. And I'm trying to go back in my brain. We recorded a ton of content last week, right, with Low Stepman. Yep. And I tried to jump on all that stuff and get it out there quickly. But you and I had that little live stream before we got Los on, and then I think we didn't live stream her. As a matter of fact, I know we didn't, and I told her that. I said, "Look, we're going to just record, and then we'll push it." And all that content did get pushed. So I see that content from last week is out there.
Okay.
So whether it's in Riverside or not, I can tell you it's definitely in studio, which is all I need. I don't even have to have it in Riverside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a new way. I'm trying to get used to some of this stuff. Seems like we're always kind of changes in how we record this stuff, and I'm sure Suntosh could. But it's not here today. So with that said, why don't I do this? Let me just end our recording. That'll be it for our live stream. Let me think about that. Yeah. I mean, we don't have anybody watching. We're not announcing a live stream. So I'm just going to go ahead and end it. And then it'll either be out there on YouTube, and I can work with Snow that I've got three content pieces that I'll work with this week.
Yeah, I just wanted you to be aware that I got that pop up while we were talking. So
thank you.